KUAM News headlines are presented by Calvil's Insurance, protecting Micronesia for 85 years. Matson and the Adai Itano program. Apply at matson.com. Cars Plus starts something new sales event going on now with up to 20% off on Jeep Gladiators. Get to Cars Plus today. And McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it.
Ahead on KUAM News Primetime.
The government of Guam's long-awaited audited financial statements are out. How much did GovGuam spend and make, and where did taxpayer monies go? I'm Mitsuki Hirayama with the key findings.
With the cost of eggs rising, many are weighing whether to buy in bulk or pay for the convenience of dining out. I'm Nevaeh Anderson with the details coming up.
And a man who never stood down when it came to standing up for the people of Guam. The community mourns the passing and remembers the life of Senator Ted Nelson.
Hafda and good evening. Welcome to KUAM News Primetime. I'm Nick Delgado.
And I'm Destiny Cruz-Lingus. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day.
Well, a federal judge has ordered the Trump administration immediately restore frozen funding, citing compliance with a prior order to halt a sweeping federal funding freeze.
This, as the University of Guam, home to critical programs that serve the island community, is already feeling the ripple effects of this ongoing development.
A masterpiece to promote island sustainability.
In 3, 2, 1, Viva Kamoka!
The University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant Art Corps program unveiling its newest mural by local artist Kamakanui Aha Aquino. But the piece is more than art. It symbolizes Guam as well as Guam Green Growth's initiative and dedication to reaching sustainability goals by 2030.
Sea Grant alone brings in tens of millions of dollars in grant funding. And so Sea Grant alone, through the Research Corporation of the University of Guam, employs upwards of about 70 plus individuals.
But could critical programs under UOG, like Sea Grant, be at risk of losing federal funding due to the Trump administration's federal funding freeze?
I think so. There'll be some impacts. What those impacts are remain to be seen. What we can say is that funding will either be decreased or taken away altogether for certain kinds of grants, depending on what the executive order is.
Earlier this week, a federal judge in Rhode Island ruling the Trump administration failed to comply with an order to halt a sweeping funding freeze. But despite that ruling, UOG has already felt the impact. Dr. Santos Bamba revealing that a number of grants have been affected, like a pause on a climate justice grant, with more grants potentially facing similar fates.
The National Institutes of Health have sent us some information about indirect costs, right? And so traditionally it's about 30% for indirect costs, which is revenue for the institution. They dropped that to 15%. So we're actually looking at about half of the amount of indirect costs, which as a result, unfortunately, we've already sent letters to employees informing them of the furlough.
Dr. Santos Bamba stressing the tangible impacts of these funding cuts.
These grants provide services to our community, and the university just manages these grants. And we employ people from our community with these grant funding, which means that we have families already locally that are being impacted by these decisions.
And in fiscal year 2023, how much did the government of Guam spend, and where did taxpayer money go towards?
The long-awaited FY23 financial audit answering these questions and more after a 7-month-long delay. Mitsuki Hirayama has more.
The government of Guam spent a record $1.9 billion in fiscal year 2023 and saw a $59.8 million surplus in the general fund. The Office of Public Accountability finally released a government-wide fiscal 23 financial audit on Monday after more than a 7-month-long delay. Independent financial auditors Ernst & Young issued an unmodified or clean opinion on GovGuam's financial statements. The audit states the administration's emphasis on maximizing federal revenues and reducing costs previously met by the general fund was the biggest single contribution to the deficit reduction. Of this surplus amount, $14.6 million was transferred to the Rainy Day Fund and $30 million was appropriated as emergency funds for the Guam Memorial Hospital. In a press release, Governor Lou Leon Guerrero said, quote, "The completion of our fiscal year 2023 audit reaffirms our administration's commitment to transparency and fiscal responsibility. The financial surplus reported is a testament to our prudent financial management and dedication to strengthening Guam's economy. As we move forward," she adds, "we will continue working to ensure that these funds are invested wisely and equitably for the benefit of our people." GovGuam's $1.9 billion expenses were $108.5 million more than what was spent in the previous fiscal year. $932.5 million came from program revenues such as federal grants and contributions, and about $1 billion from taxes and other general revenues. So, what was taxpayer money spent on? Overall, GovGuam spent the most on public health, public education, and protection of life and property. $168.6 million more was spent from the general fund in FY23 compared to the previous year. This is in large part due to the Energy Credit Program, GovGuam's self-insured group health plan, and the Guam Department of Education's operations and 22% pay increase. Mitsuki Hirayama, KUAM News.
If you've been to the grocery store recently, you've likely seen the signs, only 1 carton of eggs per customer.
With supply issues impacting availability, many are now asking, is it worth buying eggs at the store or is dining out the better option? Nevaeh Anderson has the story.
At supermarkets across Guam, the signs are up. Limit 1 egg carton per customer. A combination of avian flu outbreaks in the U.S. and trade tariffs are impacting egg supplies nationally and forcing stores to implement limits. Additionally, a delayed Matson shipment to Guam carrying produce, eggs, and other essential food items has left store shelves emptier than usual. But there's good news for shoppers. Matson has confirmed that the Manalay 198W arrived on Guam this morning at the Jose D. Leon Guerrero commercial port, carrying 2 weeks' worth of freight from the West Coast. Crews are actively unloading the vessel and grocery store shelves should be restocked soon. Even with more supply on the way, prices remain high, forcing many to weigh their options, spend more on a dozen eggs, or pay for the convenience of dining out.
The average cost of 1 hard-boiled egg at a restaurant is $3.25, while the cost of a dozen eggs at the grocery store is anywhere from $8 to $12.
That means ordering just 1 egg at a restaurant for $3.25 would only get you 2 or 3 eggs from the grocery store, far less than a dozen. So, is the convenience of having someone else cook your eggs worth the price, or is buying in bulk the smarter financial choice? On Guam, breakfast and brunch, especially after church or on weekends, is more than just a meal. It's a tradition that brings families and friends together. But with egg prices rising, some may rethink their weekend brunch plans in favor of opting for home-cooked meals instead. With store shelves filling back up, the question remains, do you spend more for the convenience of dining out or save money by cooking at home? Nevaeh Anderson, KUAM News.
In other news, he is part of the greatest generation World War II survivor, former Senator Theodore Scambolery Nelson, who is fondly known as to many as Ted, passed away Monday. He was 89 years old.
Tonight, the island is mourning his passing. Flags flown at half-staff in his honor, as many recall the island leader most especially known for his passion, both on and off session floor.
Flags across Guam are being flown at half-staff for former Vice Speaker Ted Nelson. Nelson passed away Monday, just 3 months shy of his 90th birthday.
He was our rock. He was the one that always encouraged forgiveness. He never said anything negative about anyone else. He was always very positive, and he was always encouraging us to reconcile with others.
His granddaughter, former Senator Selena Nelson, says her papa was a man who was always there for his family, a man who instilled so much life lessons.
A lot of that comes from him surviving the war, and just the courage that he's had and the faith in God that he transmitted to us, to serve the other, and it was always a huge thing for him, and especially also my grandmother. And it's kind of hard just to talk about one singular person. You can't talk, it's very difficult to talk about my grandfather without my grandmother, because they were always together. They were a pair. everywhere Ted went, Gloria was there, and everywhere Gloria went, Ted was there.
Ted and Gloria were the perfect match, serving their island and the region at a young age, from being educators in Guam and Palau to serving in local government. Former Speaker Judy Wampat recalls working with Ted during her first term in the 23rd Guam legislature.
Ted was such a strong Democrat and a proponent, of course, of the party and what we do, that when there were, the new senators that came in and decided to walk out when they took away the position of Speaker from Tom Ada and also from Ben Pangilinan in Committee on Rules, Ted was very sympathetic to us, and he decided to join the group. We didn't even know about this, so we used to say, the magnificent 7+1. So he was the +1.
A politician, she says, that always guided his colleagues on how to best serve the people.
The guy would walk the talk. He would stand also in the same, position as being very staunch, very supportive, and very passionate about what it is that he's fighting for.
The current speaker, Frank Blas Jr., says Ted was a man who gets things done.
He was a very strong, willed individual who was very passionate with what he was doing. Over the years, his voice got a little more softer, but his heart was still very strong.
Blas describing Ted as a statesman who left an indelible mark.
It was never, he never took that I was a Republican and he was a Democrat into any consideration of a conversation. It was always about what was best for the people.
Inalahan Mayor and Democratic Party of Guam Chair Anthony Chargloff says Ted was a person always willing to lend an ear and offer support.
We are definitely heartbroken to hear of the passing of Vice Speaker Ted Nelson. His commitment to the people of Guam and his tireless work in public service have made a lasting impact on this community.
Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio says his passing is a big loss for Guam.
He could make a very, very, very good, strong case for something, and he wasn't afraid of anything. He had a big heart, very compassionate.
Tenorio adding Ted was a hard worker who established the Land for the Landless program, making sure people had a place to build homes, while also finding ways to appropriate GovGuam funding.
The people of Guam should be proud of his accomplishment. We're a better place because of him.
Ted's work went beyond what most saw on session floor. He was a man of faith and respect.
Every time we would talk about anything, he says, remember, thank God, be humble, and pray, pray, pray. And that would be, yes, Papa.
His wisdom was one thing admired by many, along with his style that made him stand out even more.
He's the only one that could carry Elvis into the 2000s. I mean, he was our Elvis.
Ted was also there cheering his granddaughter when she became senator, following his footsteps. And for her papa,
I would tell him that I'm forever grateful for everything that he's taught me in life. The faith in the Lord that he has transmitted to all of us, the courage that he had and he taught us to have to do what is right. I'm forever grateful of the selflessness that he has shown us, for his sacrifices that he has made, for his love, and for his constant encouragement and just abundance of his generosity.
A generosity that lives on in the generations lucky enough to have been a part of his life.
Nightly rosaries are being held at Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church in Jigo.
We will keep you posted as soon as we learn more details on former Senator Ted Nelson's state funeral.
Our thoughts and prayers, of course, go out to Senator Nelson's loved ones.
Yes, our sincere condolences to the Nelson family. And we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Primetime. The alleged gang leader accused in a Mighty shooting that sent a teenage girl to the hospital could be deported back to his home island.
Defendant Mesamwam Repwak appeared before Judge Vernon Perez in Superior Court today. The prosecutor told the court parties are working on a deportation agreement with defense. The case is still on track for trial later this month. As reported, Repwak pleaded not guilty to charges filed against him in multiple criminal cases, including attempted murder. He had led authorities on a manhunt after a spree of violent gang activity targeting drivers on the road, to include the Mighty shooting. Parties are back in court on February 13th.
Well, a man arrested in a Thanksgiving burglary learned his fate in local court. Defendant Scanty Louis, who pleaded guilty to burglary, was sentenced before Judge Maria Senzon in Superior Court Monday. Louis apologizing for his actions, stating he fell into a life of drugs and alcohol. As reported, Louis was caught on video surveillance grabbing a crowbar from a shelf at the victim's residence and breaking into a storage room where he stole a gas tank. The victim issuing a statement to the court recalling the nightmare and how the emotional damage cannot be fixed. Scanty got 3 years with all but 2 years suspended for credit for time served. He was ordered to pay restitution to the victims.
The Guam Environmental Protection Agency monitoring the water at our beaches to make sure it's safe to swim in. But you may have noticed there has not been a weekly report for a full month. The last report was released on January 10 and showed 20 beaches with high bacteria levels, likely due to heavy rain. Guam EPA Senior Science Advisor Captain Elizabeth DeGrange tells KUAM Guam EPA has been conducting limited sampling due to supply shortages, but expects new supplies to arrive soon.
We are short on supplies. We have a purchase order that's been issued, and so we're just waiting on shipment from the supplier on the mainland. But in the meantime, what we have been able to do is finish an impaired waters project. So we've been sampling over the last month 31 rivers across the island. And over the last month, only 2 of those rivers, and just on one particular day, have shown increased levels of enterococci. We think that's because there's been lower levels of rainfall, so that's really fortunate for us. And that's a good indicator that maybe our beaches aren't too bad.
She says, there are no major concerns rather for the public about swimming in coastal waters, but of course it is always recommended to shower after and to avoid drinking seawater. Guam EPA will conduct a full beach report sampling and testing this week, with fresh results expected on February 14th. Well, those new tariffs promised by President Trump could be another test for the typically close relationship between the U.S. and Canada.
Aaron McLaughlin headed north to take a look at the impact on Canadian businesses and consumers.
With President Trump announcing fresh tariffs and renewing talk of making Canada the 51st state, tonight many Canadians say they're steeling their resolve for a trade war.
We feel betrayed.
Outside Toronto, retiree Susan Bright is going to battle at Vince's supermarket, searching for over an hour to find produce that's not made in America, a tough task in the frigid Canadian winter.
Betrayal is a strong word. It is, and that's how I feel. Why? Because we've been neighbors and friends and partners and allies for years, hundreds of years.
With Canada a top supplier of both steel and aluminum to the U.S., President Trump's latest announcement could have a major impact on critical industries in both countries, from cars to construction. And while the president has temporarily paused his more sweeping 25% tariff on Canadian goods, it's all led to deep economic uncertainty and anger. Vince's store owner, Giancarlo Tremarchi.
We've seen a real resurgence from our customer base as they look to shop local and support Canadian brands. That's a huge movement right now.
So customers are asking you.
Demanding, and we don't do that very often here in Canada.
Those demands stretching to travel, with many Canadians canceling their trips to the U.S. Bob Bloomer has been traveling to Florida every winter for the last 24 years.
I just can't justify going down there right now.
Outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was recently caught on a hot mic saying he thinks Trump's talk of annexation is a real thing. That threat leading to this reaction to the U.S. national anthem in stadiums across the country. All of it transforming Canadian politics, forcing the Conservative Premier of Ontario into a dramatic U-turn.
Prior to these tariffs, you yourself said you were 100% Trump. Do you regret that position?
Well, Trump 1.0 is now Trump 2.0. I never thought in a million years he'd threaten his closest ally and treasured partner.
With the U.S. GDP roughly 10 times the size of Canada's, some say all they can do is wait.
So how does this end?
In about 4 years, things will get better. If you guys down south don't mess it up too much.
Aaron McLaughlin, NBC News, Toronto.
Well, one of the smallest coins in your pocket could be a thing of the past, as President Trump directed the U.S. Treasury to stop making new pennies. President Trump saying it's time to stop minting pennies, arguing that they're costly and unnecessary. He didn't express a desire to eliminate the penny during his campaign, but Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency raised the issue in a post on X, highlighting the penny's cost. A U.S. Mint reported losing more than 85 million just last year and producing more than 3.2 billion pennies. Cutting pennies out of the circulation is not uncommon. Canada cut their penny in 2012, followed by other nations, and one North Carolina store owner says that wouldn't be a bad idea.
And as long as we know how to manage it, which I guess there would be guidelines to, if it's true that they cost more to make than they're worth, it seems like a smart move.
And it's uncertain whether President Trump has the authority to eliminate the penny on his own. The specifications for currency, including the size and metal content of coins, are determined by Congress. If the penny is phased out, businesses may need to round prices to the nearest 5 cents, similar to Canada's approach when they eliminated their penny.
Now for your world at home.
Here's a view captured from Gun Beach in Timon.
One through 12, all work hard. 1 through 12, all show up to practice. 1 through 12, all put the work in, right? So like, look with that, it's like you put the work in. Like, coach might not put you in, but it's just being ready all the time to that standard that we're playing now, at the level that we're playing now, because we're playing professionals. We have to be able to do that.
After Guam, this is Rio Aiken from the Guam national team, playing shooting guard. Go Guam.
Congratulations on making the team once again. I mean, you're a fixture of the national program at this time. What do you bring to the table as far as these games with like Mongolia and China, as far as like your skills, your intangibles?
I would mostly say shooting and energy. If you see our team roster, we have a lot of veteran guys, and we don't have too many young guys who can provide energy off the bench. So I would say providing energy off the bench, giving like the starting guys, giving them a break. Because, you know, they start the game, they play 30 minutes. Like those 1 to 2, 3 minute breaks are big for them. So giving them a quick breather, water break to get back in the game is what I provide for our team right now.
Now I know everybody loves for the chance to play for our island home, right? But getting a role player spot isn't easy for a lot of athletes because you know, you guys are guys who are MVP of your schools, you know, business league, you know, all island, all league, all that stuff and everything like that. How do you actually say, I'm gonna embrace a new role from being, you know, a 4-year starter to saying, if I get called halfway through the second quarter, I have to bring instant energy, hit shots, and lock my guy down?
I think it's a level of professionalism, like understanding that even though you're not the main guy on the team, you're still part of said team. It's not just going out there like, oh yeah, you're the star player, you know, you get the respect, you get all the glory.
What is Rio Aiken's hype song? Do you jam the same thing every single time before, or do you listen to like a particular artist or genre or a Spotify playlist?
I kind of just press whatever on shuffle and let it ride, so. Ooh, All the Way Turns Up by Roscoe Dash and Soulja Boy. All the Way Turns Up.
What does that do for you as far as like getting you in the right mindset?
Well, it's just, you know, like just game is about to start, turn up, lock in, and it's just like a spike of energy going into it's like that last spike of energy when you're in the locker room before you take the court. Like hearing that song is just like, aside from coach talking, aside from your teammates, aside from the huddle, it's like an internal boost of, okay, Rio, it's game time, let's go.
Guam basketball fans, are you ready? The FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers are hitting our shores. And Team Guam needs you in the stands, louder than ever. The UOG Calvo Fieldhouse is going to be rocking. Get ready for 2 electrifying showdowns. Thursday, February 20 at 7:30 p.m. Team Guam takes on Mongolia in a big rematch to determine who will advance to the next round. Sunday, February 23rd, Guam versus China is history in the making. Score your 2-game package now before they're all gone.
When experience meets ambition, powerful transformations and connections happen. On this week's Giving Every Tuesday, we spotlight the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce Mentor Match Program, a dynamic initiative bridging the gap between seasoned professionals and those eager to grow. It's more than just career advice. It's about fostering connections that inspire, empower, and elevate futures. Mentorship is an important pillar of the Guam Women's Chamber. Marie Calvo-Monge, who serves as a GWCC board secretary and is also the co-chair of the Professional Development Committee, speaks on the purpose of the Mentor Match program.
I think we try to foster meaningful connections among our members and to have members share their expertise, their experience, and impart that to build these connections with maybe women who are new in business, women who are at a pivotal time in their career, or someone that just wants to make a connection with other women and hear from them.
Rachel Davis is the executive director for the GWCC.
Well, I'm very excited for the mentorship program with the Guam Women's Chamber. This is something that is very important to me in my business and helping others succeed and grow through our various experiences. And we're just so excited for our mentor lineup to be matched with possible mentees.
On Thursday, February 13th from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Guam Women's Business Center in Hagåtña is a kickoff for this year's program, and it's sure to be a fun one, formatted like speed dating.
We will have a few rounds of speed dating where our mentors and our mentees go in different intervals. They share their experience.
The goal of the event is to get everyone acquainted with one another, and from there, the mentees will select which mentors they connected with the most. One of the things in their approach to continuing the program this year was to make sure they have a more personal connection.
Doing it as a matching, dating kind of game, we thought relationships are so important, whether they're a mentor-mentee relationship or a personal relationship or any nature. And so we thought taking this approach, we'd foster these and create these very meaningful matches.
With the mentors and mentees, they'll be able to meet up quarterly throughout the year. And we'll be also celebrating with the mid-year happy hour as well as the celebration closing event, which will wrap up this incredible program that we've designed for our mentors and mentees.
During her first year as a member of the GWCC, Calvo-Monge was a mentor and shared the incredible connection she made with the mentee.
And I made a very special connection with my mentee, and we still check in with each other, and I'm just so proud of her success. She's a young entrepreneur.
For potential mentees that are interested and aren't individual GWCC members as sole proprietors,
they should check in with their companies and organizations because they may be members and they may be able to join under the corporate mentorship, and also to encourage if you work for a larger business or organization, encourage them to join the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce because there's so many programs, not just the mentorship, but there's so many other programs and activities that they do throughout the year that help promote local businesses and women in business.
With mentors representing so many different fields, from CEOs to doctors to lawyers and holistic practitioners, mentees will find a phenomenal match.
So we encourage all potential mentees, wherever you're at in your career, if you just think you could benefit from a mentor, to come out, spend a morning with us, make some really valuable connections, and start the beginning of a beautiful relationship with a mentor.
Again, the kickoff is on Thursday, February 13th from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Guam Women's Business Center in Hagåtña. The program is for current GWCC members and future members. Take advantage of this inspiring and motivating program.
If you know anything about Ukuru High School, you know they have many clubs there at the Dedito School, and their Hope Club is presenting Hope Hooray on February 22nd from 5 to 7 at their cafeteria. Put health first. It's a fair that lets you enjoy exercises, medical presentations, and activities. Make sure to pre-order, get in, get information, and get healthy. All right, the Women's Chamber of Commerce is holding their 12th annual golf party tournament. It happens down at Country Club of the Pacific. CCP is a magnificent course. It's going to be a lot of fun. It happens on March 7th. Make sure to get in, and good luck out there on the greens. All right, and on February 26th, please make sure to show up to UOG because they will be hosting an exhibition on Islam. Learn all about it, its teachings, its fundamentals, its principles. We hope to see you there. That's what's happening for News Bites today.
Now for your Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club shoutouts.
Which you can submit on KUAM.com.
Happy birthday number 19, all right, to Rosalia Dolores Cruz. We are so proud of you, your shout out says, and I know that your journey of success, President's List as a UOG freshman, hey, nice, congratulations, has just begun. So keep doing what you're doing, stick to what you believe in, and stay humble and true. All of our love from Mom and the entire Cruz family. Rosalia, happy 19th and great job on making the President's List. Keep it up, keep going.
And that's your Primetime Show. Thanks for watching. I'm Nick Delgado.
And I'm Destiny Cruz-Lingus. Have a great evening and stay heated.